So what is up, YouTube? It's your boy ChasmRift here. Today we got ourselves another review of Pokemon Showdown battles. This time we're featuring CommanderAsher. In terms of chronological order, you will be seeing a Nightmare video next, spoiler alert. And I actually recorded the Nightmare video before this one. It just so happened before I got the opportunity to edit and upload the Nightmare video, I was sent the Showdown replay. So for diversity's sake, we're going to be featuring this one first before the other one. I kind of made a disclaimer in that video too, so yeah, let's be getting right into this. So watching CommanderAsher. He's someone who I've taken under my wing to teach a little bit of VGC to, help him out with the team building process, giving him advice here and there about how to play, and also been training with him. And I'm glad to be seeing footage from him, because instead of us seeing somebody who, no offense, but like someone who's pretty much rooted and established with his VGC knowledge and skill like Nightmare, it's going to be interesting to see somebody like Asher who is on the rise, we'll say. And hopefully this should encourage other people watching this to send in their replays, because look, we're here to all improve. We're not here to criticize and make fun of. So yeah, let's get into this. I've actually helped Asher build part of his team before, but I do recognize some of the Pokemon. I wonder if he kept the same spreads. This is back all the way, the day I left Collinsville Regionals. Just want to help them out with the team building process. So it's going to be interesting to see how he does with this new squad versus a team that's starting to take a lot of rise, with the rise of Slurpuff after the Champions Cup, Incineroar, which has been legal since March 1st, Snorlax, which is always annoying. Look at the opponent's team. It seems like they're going to be based around setups, as in they're going to try to potentially take advantage of the field. They got two fake out users. They got Pokemon who like to set up, which is Snorlax with the belly drum. You have Milotic, who likes to use Coil and potentially fire off some Hypnosis. You have very disruptive Pokemon such as Gastrodon and Slurpuff, who could both learn Yawn. And now Raichu could potentially hold Brick Break, so it could be breaking screens. So this team is kind of a mashup of just disrupting and being a roadblock for the opposing opponent. Asher's team, however, it looks like a mash of Trick Room as well as just hyper offensiveness, because Toxtricity and Dragapult could both hit like trucks. Scrafty could hit like a truck if we get it going, and then Rotom, depending on which type of Rotom it is, could also get going. So objectively speaking, if I had to be honest, I'm gonna expect potentially Incineroar and Snorlax to be the lead for the opponent. I'm only calling this because it seems like they really want their Snorlax to get set up and get going, and Incineroar really does a great job against Asher's team, because he doesn't have the best answer for it. There's a lot of people that are weak to it, like Rotom. Dragapult is also weak if it doesn't have a water type move. Hatterene can only do so much against it, and then there's Mimikyu is a very easy Pokemon to shut down. On Asher's side, I think it's only Scrafty for the Intimidate and the ability to fake out as well. And I also think he's probably going to try to maybe not go down the setup route. I think he might go either Mimikyu or Dragapult. I shouldn't say not the setup route. I'll say he's probably not going to go into the route of Hatterene with the Trick Room. So let's just see what happens. So Mimikyu, Scrafty. I called it. Snorlax, Raichu. Almost called that one. So they went for Nuzzle, which is great. They broke the sash. They broke the disguise on Mimikyu and they paralyzed it. As Chasm, missed the Stone Edge, which does sound like something I would do. And Snorlax set up. And Trick Room set up. Okay. So a lot happened there. So I called the leads right. I called the leads right that it'll be Mimikyu, Scrafty. I called that Snorlax to be leading. I didn't call that it will be Incineroar. The opponent went for Raichu. But the same idea of, hey, let's be very disruptive as we get the belly drum set up. Mimikyu set up the Trick Room, which is interesting because Snorlax is the slowest Pokemon on both teams, bar none. Like, there's no comparison. So interesting, he went for the Trick Room. We'll have to see how this plays out. So Trick Room happened, and then there we go, Scrafty Dynamax. The unfortunate para, I think he was going for Shadow Sneak for priority, and Scrafty goes for Max Knuckle and does a nice damage. So they both are trading off good damage to each other, and the Raichu both switches. I think the Raichu is going to bring in, Slurpuff. So Slurpuff, from this position, Scrafty ate that up like a champ. That was a +6 Max Quake, and Scrafty ate that up. I'm not even being like biased. You saw that. You saw the tape, people. So from this position, I think Asher has turned a bad situation into a good one. Because although he's lost Mimikyu, he has the advantage in terms of, hey, he can knock out the Snorlax with his next, Max Knuckle, has Scrafty at +2. And he also has Toxtricity, who under Trick Room can actually outspeed the Slurpuff potentially and get off, maybe a Sludge Bomb, maybe go for a potential Overdrive. It could be Sludge Wave, which wouldn't be the best thing, because it could potentially knock out Scrafty once it's all said and done. But yeah, I'm liking this board position so far. The opponent got 2 Max Quakes off. So the Slurpuff is at +1 Spadef after that Max Quake. And it was an Overdrive. Alright. And it was Third Spray. As the Slurpuff went for a Calm Mind. That was risky. The opponent seems to be very reliant on setups. As Scrafty goes for the Max Rockfall to get the K on Slurpuff. So 3 turns of Scrafty dominance right there. As Raichu with the Lightning Rod. That was a good switching on the opponent's part. I applaud the opponent there, and I applaud Asher for that KO on the Slurpuff. If he called the switch out properly and got for the Max Rockfall on Raichu, we could potentially be seeing a dead Raichu and a potentially dead Slurpuff, but I don't know. I don't know the calcs on Slurpuff with a +1 Spadef versus a +1, Toxtricity. So, board position wise, good. That was a questionable fake out by the opponent's part, as Scrafty got a close combat off. I hope he didn't send me this tape because Scrafty's dominating. But, Aya Papa Berry. Me like. Okay, so he got the Nuzlocke on Scrafty as a Boom Burst finishes off the opponent. And GG CommanderAsher as he gets the W. So, overall, I think this was a really good battle. It was a good example of how, even if things look bad, you could turn it around. Because at first when I'm watching the battle, I'm seeing Raichu virtually got off a free Nuzzle and didn't get hit by anything, and Snorlax got the set up. When I was looking at that originally, and the fact that Trick Room was set up, I'm thinking ooh, this would go bad really fast. However, Asher was able to turn it into a good thing. If the opponent used the Max Replenish onto Scrafty and potentially got a Berry, this could be a completely different story. But since the opponent focused on the Mimikyu, they left themselves vulnerable for Scrafty to come in and be the new win condition for Asher. With the addition to Toxtricity coming in and firing off some Overdrive and some Boom Burst, it allowed for Asher to bring the game back. It was a good switch in on the opponent's side for the Raichu, because they showed that they were aware. They know their abilities, they know how to handle certain things, and they know how to read really well. That was a good read on their part, which I have to, for people watching this, you may be thinking this is just a basic read. I gotta commend this because they're on the lower ladder. For someone to read that well and take advantage of their abilities, I gotta give that some props. So overall for this battle, I would say for the opponent, I'll give them this. I say that they got a B-. That's the rating I'll give them as an opponent. They seem to be too focused on their setups more so than understanding what their win condition is. So them getting rid of Mimikyu, it made sense. It did, but they forgot to realize that. I think they underestimated just the power of Scrafty. Scrafty being out there and firing off, Max Knuckles made all the difference in the battle. The fact that they got cute with the Raichu and switching it out, that didn't help them out at all, really. The switch outs with the Raichu was a good idea, but Slurpuff also setting up, that wasn't a good time for them. If they fired off something like a Yarn into the Scrafty or the Toxtricity slot, it could be a completely different game. Because all you had to do is just stall out for that last turn. Different game. As for Asher, I would say this. The way he handled Scrafty, I'm very impressed. And I'm not saying it because I'm excited of Scrafty. I really do think that he handled it really well. Going in here and, understanding hey, if I'm going to beat this, I got to knock out their Snorlax, who's the biggest threat. And then from there, the rest of the team just can't handle, the onslaught of Scrafty and Trick Room. So for him to turn a bad situation into, I'll say this, perceived as a bad situation into a good one, gotta commend that. So I'll give him an A- for everything. I'll probably give him an A to A+ range if it wasn't for the Trick Room at first with the Mimikyu. Because if, let's say, the Trick Room went up and Scrafty got knocked out, a completely different story, but he was able to prevent it. So yeah, send me them replays either down below, guys, or on DMs and Discord. I'm about to get out of here. Gate's full open. Thanks CommanderAsher for this video. I guess I gotta go close them. So bye.